Houston, we have a problem.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Sprueverse, my scale model universe. People of Earth, welcome to a brand new build. On the bench today is the command module and the service module and the landing module, the LEM, from the Apollo 13 mission, which was ill-fated as we know. This is in 1/72 scale from Dragon. And I've been wanting to do some real space for a long time. You know, I've had the opportunity to go visit the Smithsonian, both of the Air and Space Museums, the one in downtown DC and the one out by the airport, which I think is in West Virginia. But both awesome places if you ever get a chance to visit them. But this is a very nice kit. It's not too big, it fits on the bench, and sometimes it's nice to sit on the bench and work on some real sprue. So I'm excited to get dug in here. I know that there's a couple of versions of this out there. Revell's got one, Airfix had one many years ago, but the Dragon kit is the one that I have in 72, so that's the one we're going to build. A couple of things when I pulled it out of its bags and looked in the box. Some very interesting things in here. Now, if any of you have the Apollo 11 version of this in 148, their LEM is already pre-painted in gold, which is kind of annoying. So you'd have to, well, I would definitely remove that. But this isn't. It's a smaller scale. It's only this is only 1/72. But it's a little tiny for me, but we'll get our fat fingers around it and we'll have some fun with it. But as I mentioned, there's a couple of things about this that are really, really nice. One of them is the stand itself. The stand is part plastic and it's part metal. And I thought that was really interesting. This has got a protective cover on it, but it's quite a substantial piece of aluminum, I think, that they've just cut out for us. And that essentially slides into this piece of plastic like this. And then there's a couple of set screws that they give you that you bolt into the bottom. And that becomes your base for this. So we're not talking about a huge model here, but I thought that was a very nice touch. The other thing is they do give you some nice little details. The antennae here are actually metal. Which I thought was really a very nice touch that come in this little baggie. That's cool. And you get some decals. Here's them's is. Very, very, very tiny, but we'll try to do our best to get everything on the kit. Okay. So the first thing that I sort of wanted to do was go through the instructions, because me and instructions don't get along because I'm a naughty boy. I don't like to look at them. And you've got to, in case there's some assemblies that you need to do first. A couple of things that I'm gonna have to dig in and do a little research on. One is color palette, because I know there's some metals and some blacks here and some odd metal colors. Obviously, part of that has to do with the design of that. So I'm going to do a little research and figure out what exactly they were made of, and we'll make sure we try to follow along there. But anyway, over the instruction manual itself, just going through to make sure we've got all of our parts. And then, of course, as you follow along, they want you to actually build the command service module first. So that's what we'll do. I think there's no reason why we can't get everything on and then give it a nice coat of primer and then start picking out and detailing some things. I don't think there's anything that has to be painted first. I think we can get everything on. Now, with the LEM, that's a slightly different story, because we are going to have to do some things. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to hit this with some gloss black, and then we're going to hit it with a nice silver, and then we'll cover that silver with a Tamiya yellow clear to get our gold foil effect. The other way you can do it is you can actually find yourself some gold foil at the hobby store, and you can actually lay that over here and push it in. But I don't think it's necessary. I think we're going to do quite well here with just a gold effect. I think that's more than sufficient for this model, especially in this scale. And then as we flip over to the back, you can see that, interestingly enough, this event, this kit, is going to end up with the LEM legs in the closed position because with 13, obviously they never got a chance to get to the moon. They had to pretty much figure out how to get around the moon and use that gravitational pull to get them back to Earth. The movie was a cool movie, Apollo 13. Definitely worth checking out if you haven't seen it, starring Tom Hanks. And it was directed by Ron Howard. So a really strong movie. But this is an interesting story, obviously, because of the amount of drama that was involved in it. So I'm glad it's on the bench. All right, enough of my belly aching and bloviating. Let's dive in, pull off some sprues, clean them up, and let's see what we got here. Okay, well, here I am minding my own business, nipping away at my sprues, carefully and cautiously looking at the destructions. And I notice, of course, right out of the gate that C4 is not C4. C4 on the C sprue is actually this cone. C13, C12, yeah, C13 is actually the part they're asking us for. So, you know, well, just goes to show you, even following the instructions sometimes can be a waste of time. That's okay. We're going to do fine. We're going to do fine. We're just getting all these parts off, carefully cleaning everything up very nicely. And we will keep going here. But, you know, classic, right? I haven't looked at sprues in quite a while, and so to come out of the gate with the numbers being wrong on the instructions is like, it's very good for my head. Okay, just sharing. Okay, then there is a ring, this ring that's going to drop down on here, something like that. Okay. Like that. And then there's this post that we're going to install, because this is going to allow it to connect up to the the LEM. This is the command service manual. So this is how they're going to connect on the stand. But I'm not going to glue that just yet. I'm going to leave that off while we continue here. We're going to move on to the actual body of the command service module now, and it's E6, and should be E6 and 2. As I'm doing this, I'm having this weird thought about having to have done this 30 years ago when we didn't have the kind of glues that we have today that can wick in and give you these lovely bonds. We were using the Testors glue. It's funny. Well, work progresses on the Apollo 13 command service module in LEM. Real space is something I'm not comfortable with, so it's kind of exciting and fun to be in a world you don't really know an awful lot about. It is fun to go to the various air and space museums around the country and indeed the world and witness some of these things, look at some of these things for yourself. And I'm sure there's a lot more reference material out there that I can discover. I did find this very interesting and rather creepy shot of the actual Apollo 13 command service module. I guess this was an effort to take a look at the damage that was done. You know, they knew that a scrubber, an oxygen scrubber had failed. Little did they know at the time, interestingly enough, that these issues were actually problems that started before it actually took off. They discovered, there was an interview with Lovell in which he talked about the fact that a part of this system had been dropped and damaged and not reported and then put back into the ship. So they were essentially doomed before it even took off, which is sort of creepy to think about. But but you know, who knows? So what I've been doing is I've been getting some color on things because the actual command module that's going to bring everybody home is going to be in the silvers. There's some white. Which I will protect. So I've hit this with a couple of primer coats. What I want to do now is I want to protect this. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to hit it with a clear coat after it's gotten one more coat of flat white on it, and then I'm going to tape that off, mask that off because it's actually white, and then everything else is going to be in the dull aluminums. So I'm going to be doing that. I have gotten a gloss coat of black on the top of the LEM here, and this is all going to be in the gold foil. So I'm going to hit this with the silver, and then we'll come back with the Tamiya clear orange to give it the gold effect that I'm looking for. So that should work quite well. And then I've hit some of the other elements to it. I mean, here's one of the coned engine nozzles, and I've hit that with the gloss black because that's going to get different sort of heat signatures after it has had its metal colors. But what I want to do now is I want to try and move the whole thing forward, and in order to do that, I've got to get the internal workings of this that are actually either visible or not visible, depending on whether you want to use this exterior cover. I'm going to leave mine off, I think, to see some detail. Otherwise, it's kind of very basic. But I've gone ahead and I've prepared these all with a flat white, and now I'm just going to sort of kiss everything with some color, with some metal colors. And once I've done that, I can install these pieces into this element here, and that's going to sit inside the housing of the command module, sort of like this, and then I can carry on. But you know, easier to do it now with the elements all sort of out on the bench rather than having to struggle with a brush. Some things I'm going to detail with brushes, but other things I won't. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to start working on some of these details, and then I'll get this installed. This is interesting. So the way this is designed is a little wackadoodle. So I've gone to the trouble of working on this inner engine compartment, and the thing about this is, what's cool about this is this is actually sort of exposing the area where they had issues on the flight, and so it's sort of mimicking this element here. But the problem is that to leave it out, you're left with this gap right here. Now, what's curious is when you put your exterior plate on it, it fits beautifully. But that doesn't help if you want to leave this exposed. I suppose it's designed in such a way that you just sort of sit it down here, you paint it, you sit it down there, and if you want to look inside, you just lift it up. So that means that all this has to be detailed out. I think what I'll probably do is, because I'm assuming and hoping that this can be set in such a way that you can have this on top, so this is not likely to fall off, but there's no clipping mechanism or anything. Now, if you want to leave this permanently off, if you did want to leave this permanently off, I suppose what you could do is I can put a little piece of sheet styrene in here and just clean this up, which is most likely what I'll do. But I mean, I'll keep the piece, but I just think that's got to be cleaned up a little bit. There appears to be, at least in this shot that I can tell, a lot more sort of detail and pipage. So I got out my watch part and I've started to add some details, some metal, and then I'm going to come in here with some coppers and some other colors and really punch this up. But I think it's going to make a difference just in terms of making it feel like there's something going on. So that's a lot of fun. I'll keep working at it. But I think it's going to add a sense of intrigue to the to this. It needed some help. It was a little boring. At least for me it was. Don't yell at me, Canon folks from the real science world. I'm just playing. Just make sure those are aligning correctly, and they are. This is one of those things where it's quite zen. I think it's quite zen to do a model like this. It sits on anybody's bench. It's a wonderful subject matter. It's a great part of our history. And we've come so far in terms of space travel. And we've got so much more to do. More than I'll ever see in my lifetime. But we, as a community, if you're into fantasy and sci-fi modeling, we get to build some wonderful models of what the future might be, whether you're into Star Trek, Star Wars, or even 60s sci-fi television. All these wonderful sort of design elements that we've come to know and love, and we wonder what the design elements will be for the future. We do know, obviously, we know quite a bit about physics, so we know what things, or we think we know what things should be like or need to be like in order for us to survive. Okay, so this is section 3. This is in. So this is for the top of the command module. That's going to sit in here. It's going to sit in this. It's going to countersink in here like this, and it starts to look dangerously like what it is we want it to look like. So that's a good thing. Whoop. Okay, so that's good. I've got the lower section here, which is it's painted up, and that's just going to sit in the lower section. And then we've got I see some tabs that we have to put on here, and then we're going to have to do some work on that engine bell. So I've got the engine bell, and that's gonna sort of start to finish this off, and we've got all these little details that we're going to need to put in here. One of the things that I'm thinking about doing now that I've detailed all this out, now I'm going to get some washes in here and just some very delicate washing. But this is Apollo 13, and when they were scrubbing the oxygen tanks, or stirring them I should say, that's when all hell broke loose. So what we've got here is the canopy that sits on top like this. Let me put it round the right way. And so in displaying the model and telling the story of Apollo 13, I think this needs to be damaged. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of damage in here and some burnout, and we'll be meeting the Apollo 13. This moment is Houston, we have a problem, and that's when they had this loud bang, this loud explosion. And so what happened in here is the oxygen tanks, when they were stirring them, they blew up. So we're gonna mimic that in the next section. I'll start working on that. We'll figure out where that damage is going to be, and we'll get it in there. Okay, so what I've done is I put some pencil marks on the panel that is going to basically it's going to cover this section. And so what I've done is I've marked out where I want the explosion to be. I think it sort of rips through the whole thing. So what we'll do is we'll do some, it exploded, it burned through that section. So we'll see that burn mark. So it'll give us two things. It'll tell the story of the moment the stirring of the tanks exploded. And we'll get to see inside that just a little bit, but we'll see all this damage, which tells the story. And that's the bit I love. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to carefully cut this out, making sure it stays nice and jagged. And then we'll prepare this this panel for final assembly. And then I'll get some tape on my white sections, and everything else is going to go into the sort of the gray metallics. So it's a detail, you know. It's a little bit of extra work, but I think it's going to be I think it's going to be worth it. So that's what we're going to do right now. And here I've cut out this this piece. Here's the piece I removed, and so now I'm going to clean this up with my knife, and I'm going to just make these edges kind of jagged before we actually finish this and detail it out. But I wanted to show you what the effect was. So this is our piece, and here is our section that goes on top, and that's what we'll have. So we can see inside. So once we get this all detailed out, that is a nice effect. So I'm going to keep chipping away at it just to try and, you know, because of the scale, I want this to be a little more dainty. So I'm just going to keep using my knife here and chipping away at the plastic, and then we'll take a look at that when it's ready for its burn effects, and we'll probably do that with an airbrush. Well, just when I thought I was going to be coasting home, I had a little twinkle. You know, the modeling angel got on my, or devil got on my shoulder and said, "You know, you can do better." I go, "What are you talking about?" "No, you can do a little better." I said, "Better how?" "Well, you're doing Apollo 13, right? It was Houston, we have a problem, right? We know that the oxygen stirrer blew up. We know there was an explosion, and we know I've just talked about the fact that I wanted to add an element to it. But then in my Evan's design stash of stuff, I have a lightning effect. It's just randomly flashing blue bulbs. And it's supposed to be to create a lightning effect for I don't know what. But I thought to myself, I thought, what if I could put the lightning effect behind this screen here? So let me get you over here and show you. This is what I've got now, and this represents after the O2 tanks, the oxygen tank was scrubbed or stirred, I should say, and it exploded. This is what I think happened. Now, I'm going to be adding a few more details here where it is ripped open. And I'm going to do that with some of my metal tape that I use. And that should add a really cool effect, and we'll get all this sort of, dialed in. But I've got these little lightning, this little lightning effect here. And it's dark enough that if I could find a way, and I think I can find a way, to get light into the into this sort of area here. I don't know what you call it, which I can do. All of a sudden, this starts to become really interesting. I think. So let me get some light in here and see if we can show you this on camera. There, you can see the flashing here. This one isn't flashing as much for some reason. It doesn't like to flash as much. Oh, there it goes. So there. Do you see what's happening? I'm getting this wonderful flash. And there it goes. And I think that wakes up this model and makes it sort of interesting. So I think I'm going to go ahead and light this. That's right. So I've got a little bit of work to do here, but I think it's really worth it. It's a 3-volt system. It can hide in this thing. How I switch it on and off, I think, is going to be through this base. It'll fit in this base. So I think I've got plenty of room. And what I can do is I can put a switch on here that just turns it off and on. Not an issue. And then I can run my wire up into the ship, I think, and then we can hide that with some tape. So that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for it. Why not? I think it adds some added interest to what I think is a wonderful story that we're telling. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to get this lightning effect wired into my command module. I'm going to figure out how I get the wires down, the battery and the battery compartment down into the base with a switch. And it's only 3 volts, so it shouldn't be too difficult. I'm going to get some metal tape, and I'm going to start adding some elements here to this plate, because this is going to be permanently installed. And it's just going to look like it's burst open, so it needs that element. It's missing that. And then once I've got all of that done, I'm going to go ahead and start working on getting this finally put together. So I've got to tape this up. I've got to get my dull aluminum on here, and I'm going to use Alclad for that because they're nice metal colors. So we are moving right along, but I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So let's see if I could do this and see what we get. Hey, no harm, no foul, right? But if you don't try, you'll never know. And then what we did was we took the panel and I cut it open, and I have added this foil tape. Now this tape comes in huge rolls. It's tape for air conditioning, really. It's aluminum tape. I love this stuff. If you don't have this in your kit, get some. So what we've done is we have attached it to the front panel here. Now, a couple of things, and then so this is what's going to happen now. Then is this panel. Get out of the way. This panel is going to sit like this. There you go. And that's all splayed open, looking really cool. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to tape up the module here where it has to be, where it's going to stay white. And then everything is going to get the all-clad dull aluminum frame for the body, except I went a little overboard with the command service, the service module capsule. So I've got that to do. I'm going to get some Tamiya orange on my silver, which is going to turn this gold. We'll get that done. I'm going to take, now the light is it's just a little 3-volt coin battery. And so what I've got to do is I've got to run the wire. It's gonna come down. It's gonna come down here, and I'm gonna run it along the bottom of the stand. I'm going to tape it with some of my aluminum tape, and then the whole thing is going to get coated with my black all-clad primer and then the airframe aluminum. So that's what we're going to do to that. This needs to get painted too as well, and then we will start on the LEM. And I've got those pieces out here. We'll start doing some construction to the LEM because we'll be pretty much done with the command service module. I've got a few little elements that are drying that I've been working on, and they are, well, they're over there. So and then they're going to get these 4 little antennae, but we're getting close to be able to say we are pretty far down the road on that, and then the LEM should go together pretty quickly. But I wanted to do just sort of a little update on where we are. You know, it's interesting. The smaller the kit, I think sometimes the harder it can be, but we'll plow on. Okay. You know, as I'm putting the LEM together, it struck me that this is a very unusual geometric shape. It's like there's nothing streamlined about it. It's fascinating. So, you know, you sort of, you do wonder. You do wonder. I'm going to do that again. You do wonder what the science and the physics is behind this. I know it was incredibly light, but it is a fascinating geometric shape. So anyway, the LEM's coming together, and it's almost ready for its primer coat, because it's going to get primer coated in the black as well before we change its color. I've got lots of little details here that have to go on it, but I'm going to wait because they're so delicate. They would just snap. But anyway, just wanted to share progress. We're doing quite well. I'm going to get a coat of primer on everything and a coat of the Tamiya orange clear on that, and we'll take a look at that. Okay, so we've got our aircraft aluminum on here from All-Clad. I am very green when it comes to using All-Clads, I've got to admit. They are not for everybody, and I am skittish. I'm very skittish when it comes to them. Primarily because what I find is that the primer, and I do use their microfill black primer, I find it very inconsistent, even if you've got it mixed well. I find that it's it oftentimes, now, you know, maybe it's supposed to be thinned a little more, but I'm not used to that. But that's going to look really nice. Now, obviously, it's going to get some other washes and details and stuff, but I really like the way this is looking. It's nice and clean, and I think once we get everything detailed on here, we've got these really nice sort of, it's got these wonderful elements to it. So I'm very, very, very happy with the way this is, the way this is turning out. Okay, we're going to let that sit and dry, and we'll do final final assembly on that in a little bit. I'm going to now quickly get this ready for its close-up. So I wanted to show you the technique of turning silver into gold. It's very cool. So it's your any silver base coat you want, really. And then you put your X26 Tamiya orange clear over it. Let's take a look and watch the magic happen. It's really cool. There you have it. There's our gold. Here is our gold. It's fun. And it's a good way to do it. Now, you could use gold foil if you wanted to. Get some sheets of it from a hobby store, and then with some of the microcrystal clear, you could just sort of put your foil on there. And that would be a very cool effect too. But this works at this scale. This works really well. I'm going to keep going here, and then I'm going to start doing some final detail and assembly. And so that needs to be permanently attached. Let me just make sure I've got the right side in. And now I do. Okay, so that's going to sit flush, and that gives me everything I need. So what I'm seeing is I'm not sure. I don't think I need a wash in there. I might just do a little bit of a little pin wash, just a little one. Don't think it needs a lot, but just to give this a little bit of soot. You're not going to see much, but I think it would definitely have some soot and some burnage from the and I could have done this afterwards, but I want to sort of permanently install this piece. Now I'm just noticing right here that I've got a little touch-up I need to do, and I don't know whether I need to do that. I think I'm going to do that once this is down. I think so. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So let me go ahead and permanently attach this to my okay. These are the side rails that connect to the top of the LEM to the landing gear and the legs. And this is the piece. What I'm working on now is the piece that gets left on the moon after they take off. And yeah, they had just about enough fuel to get this thing into orbit. I guess because of the lack of gravity, I guess it didn't require so much fuel to get them into back into the moon's back into space. But it is interesting, you know, when you realize how fragile this ship basically was. It's incredibly light, but it was very fragile. Okay, so those elements are on. Now the nice thing about this is when you make a mistake and you get some back on the if you accidentally touch any of the gold, then all you do is just hit it again with the silver where you want it to be gold again, and then you just go through and touch that up with your Tamiya clear, and you're back in business. So it's a very forgiving process in that regard. Okay, I'm pseudo happy with that, and it's drying nicely. So you know, I'm using different steels and oiled steels and aluminums and gloss aluminums just to try and create some variation, and I think that's working really well. I've got to do I'm going to do just a little bit of work to these engine bells, just to give them a little bit of oomph, and then I've got some thrusters to put on. And I've also got some antennae and some handles to put on. And then we'll be ready to go to pin washes. I'm going to add some detailed washes just to pick out some of the elements on the exterior of the ship. So I've got everything gloss coating now. And then once we've got all those details on, we'll go back to a matte finish. And she'll be done. Okay, getting ready to tackle some decals. I've been looking at the LEM from 14 and absolutely zero help from this angle. I've got a couple of other reference photos, so I know that the LEM itself has the American flag on it, and it has a couple of other decals that I'm going to see if I can find a location for. But as I was looking at the LEM, and I started sort of realizing something. Well, you know, if you take a look at this picture, one of the things you noticed right away is on the on it, you know, now you can see that the gold foil is very evident here. The landing legs are extended, so we have them in the closed position, But look to the right of the forward-facing landing leg, and you see this sort of patchwork quilt of this material that is obviously a solar block, infrared blocker, but it's patches. It's not a clean sort of just sheet. It's very interesting. It's very haphazard. So to that end, what I've been doing is I have been playing with my, you can see here, I've been playing with the foil to sort of create that illusion. And I'm going to do just a little more of that. Now this is going to get a matte coat on it. And I'm also thinking that on a couple of these areas here, I'm going to these sort of very edged surfaces here. I'm going to hit it with some grays to sort of not kill off, but to pull the silver down a little bit and make it not so intense. I'm happy with what's been going on with my washes. So that's looking pretty good. All I need to do now to finish my command service module is get the engine bell on it. And I have dirtied that down quite a bit, but there is some opportunity to create some panels on there. Now, you know, when these when you're leaving the Earth's atmosphere and you're coming back into the Earth's atmosphere, you're going to have all kinds of stuff. But in space, I'm not entirely sure it's dirty, although there are two worlds there where, you know, if you've got ships that are constantly coming through to planets and landing, they're obviously dirtied up, and I love that. But obviously in the Trek world, where your ships stay in space, they're a lot more pristine. So it is fun to kind of play with those elements. But anyway, we're doing quite well here. So I'm going to continue to just do just a little bit more detail work. And then I've got some antennae that need to go on here. But right now I'm going to concentrate on just getting a few of these panels gray, because it's a little too metallic silver for my liking. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to work on decals. You don't need to see me putting on decals. This sheet is there's a lot going on in this sheet here. Let me show you this sheet. I'm not going to use all of them. But there's all kinds of wonderful things that we can put on here. So I'm going to put quite a few of them on, you know, just because I can, and then we'll do the final dirtying over that if we're going to do any washes at all, and then we'll do final assembly, beauty shots, and then we'll have final thoughts, and we'll be in the can. It's been a fun build. I have to tell you, and I'll speak more about this when we close, but. Wow, to do some real space, I kind of missed it. I did do the space shuttle quite a few years ago, and that was a lot of fun because I got to go to the Smithsonian and actually see it in person and get a lot of reference material. I'd never ever taken any reference shots of of real space. I'm going to do that next time I'm in DC at the museum. I'm going to make an effort to get my own reference shots. But anyway, a lot of fun. Let's continue. So here it is, the Apollo 13 LEM and Command Service Module, the Odyssey and the Aquarius. And this is a Dragon kit. Not incredibly accurate, but you know, for its scale, it's a lot of fun. The plastic was interesting. It's very soft and not exactly easy to deal with. I got my phone on my desk because I wanted to just talk briefly about Houston. We have a problem because, and I didn't want to get this wrong. I wanted to get this right for the purists out there. But it's the most popularly misquoted phrase ever spoken during Apollo 13. NASA's mission control in the Apollo space program, and it was the third scheduled moon landing that never happened, obviously. but after an explosion occurred on board when the stirring of the oxygen tank caused a problem. Now, Lovell, many years later, did say that this was doomed from the very beginning. This flight was doomed. It was never going to the moon because there was a situation that had happened on the ground, and they think there were some parts that were installed that were never going to work. They were going to fail. But anyway, Jack Swigert, the command module pilot, he reported to Mission Control Center in Texas, "Okay, Houston, we've had a problem." After being prompted to repeat his words by Jack Luzma, the capsule communicator at Mission Control, Jim Lovell, the mission commander, responded, "Houston, we've had a problem." So that was the beginning of what became one of the most incredibly intense and amazing, just amazing stories. I've got it a little dark in the studio because I wanted to just talk about this, and hopefully we can see the effect. But the model itself is a static model. I've added the explosion. This is the moment when the oxygen tanks are stirred and they explode. And you can see here that what I've done is I have created this effect with my foil tape. You can see I've got an Evans design effect that I've put in here. It's just a simple sort of blue flashing lightning effect. It's their lightning effect kit. But I thought it made a really nice sort of dramatic moment, and it sort of intermittently flashes at both ends of the ripped out section. I uber detailed the interior of this, and I used my classic lead wiring and some watch parts and some other things just to create more interest. In the studio, when you look inside, there's quite a lot going on. It's a really fun kit to build. So let's go ahead and look at some beauty shots right now. You can see I've got it on the turntable, and I wanted to show you this sort of video clip because I think it's a lot of fun, and it makes it's sort of the dramatic way to show this moment. And of course, I like it on the turntable because it gives you that illusion of the being in space and sort of moving, the motion of it. So there you are, the Apollo 13 story unfolded here at Spruverse Studios. I'm really glad I did this, and I hope if you've got any real science, real space in your stash, you get some of those out and play with them. It's a great way to mix up the sort of the builds, you know. Sometimes you get a little burnt out on one type of element. I mean, we love fantasy, we love space, we love science fiction, don't get me wrong. But to be able to do this and have this on the shelf proudly is something that makes me feel really good. Hey, if you want to get a hold of me, I'm spruverse@gmail.com. I post most days on my Instagram account, that's @spruverse. You can buy me a cup of coffee for my charity builds. That link's on my channel page. But as always, hey, I wish all of you, please, be safe, be well, build something, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Be well.